Hey, what's going on everyone? Entering Infinity here. Today I'm back with a brand new video to discuss Demon Slayer Season 2, Episode 3. Let's jump into it. Alright, so this episode pretty much picks up where we left off last time, and now it shows us back on the train, and it just shows everybody sleeping again, and now this time we get to see a little bit of everybody else's dreams, because last time we only really got to see Tanjiro's dream, so now we get to explore the other ones. So first we get to see Enosuke and Zenitsu'S dreams, and theirs is mostly just for comedic relief, so I'm not really going to talk about those too much, because for analytical purposes, it's really just mostly used for comedic relief. So Enosuke's dream was like pretty weird, where like everyone's like these animal human hybrids and they're like these cave explorers, and it was just just a little bit of humor there. And then Zenitsu'S dream, it's like him and Nezuko, and they're like kind of walking around and he's being strong like boyfriend type character that he like aspires to be, which is cool because it's like pretty much him without all his anxiety and his fears. So I hope that one day that's the type of Zenitsu we get to see after he gets his character development. But again, just some comedy there, so I'm not really going to talk too much about that. It's really just Tanjiro and Rengoku's dreams that really have the meat in this episode, so that's really where I'm going to spend the time talking. So then we get to cut to Rengoku and go in to see his dream, and we see him sitting down in front of his father at their family residence, and he's there to tell his father that he finally became a Hashira, and his father's just kind of laying down reading and not even looking at him, and he's trying to tell him that he finally became a Hashira, and then his dad's like, whatever, it doesn't matter anyway, like, pretty much like you're worthless and you won't amount to anything, and was just like very disinterested and didn't even care at all, despite the fact that his son just had such a major life achievement, which is also something that he himself as the father was a Hashira as well, so you would think that that would mean a lot to him, but we see that he's just very kind of disinterested and not really caring so much at this point. So at this point I'm questioning like what is it that kind of got him to this point. And they do touch on the fact that their mother did die, but they didn't make it sound like he's this way entirely because of that. They just said he just quit being a swordsman one day and he just got really weird. So I'm wondering if it's a combination of the mother dying and something else, but hopefully we'll get more into that hopefully in the future. So then he's pretty upset, Rengoku, and then he kind of gets up to leave, and the brother comes up to him and he asks him, how did the father react to him becoming a Hashira? And he pretty much said that, the father didn't even care, and that really upset the brother, because it's pretty clear based on what we've seen that the father's approval and recognition is a big deal for the two of them, and the fact that the father could care less that they pretty much achieved the ultimate goal was a pretty devastating blow, not only to Rengoku, but also the younger brother, who's like aspiring also to get there, and just knowing the fact that no matter how hard he works to even get to that top level, his father still won't even care, and the brother does get pretty upset by that. And then we get to see a flashback where Rengoku pretty much explains that the father didn't always used to be like that. He was a very enthusiastic and good father and trained them how to be swordsmen and really inspired the two brothers to want to be like him, and he was like a major role model for them. So I'm curious to see if we'll get to see more on that, to see his descent from being such a high role model character to kind of falling into where he is now. Again, if it's something beyond just the mother passing away, which is obviously extremely tragic, but it seems like there's a little bit more going on there. So after the flashback, we kind of cut back to the two talking, and Rengoku pretty much at this point is playing both the older brother and the father at this point, and he's pretty much just consoling his brother, saying like, look, like, you're gonna be amazing no matter what you do in your life, whether you choose to go down this path of being a demon slayer or whether you choose to do anything else in your life. He's pretty much just telling him that, like, you're amazing and I'm here for you. And it was just a really powerful moment for him kind of stepping up as the older brother and also as pretty much a father figure at this point, because it is really sad for the younger brother that his mother passed away when he was young, and now his father is like really just disinterested and doesn't even really seem to care anymore. So he's kind of out there on his own. So I do feel bad for the younger brother. So it was really interesting to kind of see more into Rengoku's kind of backstory, because we didn't really see much of him at all up until this point, so I'm really loving that content. And then from there, we see there's the girl who is tied to him in real life on the train, who is invading his dream, because again, their purpose is to try and go and destroy the spirit cores, which was reiterated by the demon, is that pretty much when people are sleeping, they're pretty much as easy to kill as a baby, because no matter how powerful you are when you're awake, when you're sleeping, you're completely defenseless and vulnerable, and that's what he relies on, and that's why he employed these kids to go do this. So we see her kind of appear in the dream, and she sneaks away to go find his spirit core, which they explain is on the outer edge of the dream. So if she just keeps moving towards the outside, eventually she'll find like a layer or like a wall that she'll have to go through to get to the spirit core. And we do eventually see her find it, and she has this special like needle type device that can cut through it. So she does find it and she cuts through it and kind of opens up like kind of like going through a different dimension type thing. And we see her kind of go through there, and then when she's in there, it's just everything's on fire and super hot and burning and intense. She goes and eventually she does find the spirit core, as much as it's uncomfortable for her being how hot in there because everything's on fire. And she says that she's never seen a red spirit core before, which is interesting because it's like, you know, how many times has she done this? And I wonder if they've killed other demon slayers or other people like this, because it sounds like that wasn't her first rodeo. So she's kind of like admiring that, and then she's like, all right, I gotta finish him off so I can have a happy dream of my own, which is a little insight into kind of why these kids are doing it, which we'll see more later on in the arc. So she takes her little needle device and she goes to finish him off and destroy the spirit core, and then all of a sudden she drops her needle and she's like choking and like getting pulled into the air, and we see, you know, back in real life on the train, Rengoku's standing up and he's got her in a chokehold, and he's choking her very tightly, even though he's still sleeping, because his survival instinct kicked in. Even though his body's asleep, like it just naturally reacts to defend himself, which is pretty awesome to see. You know how powerful these Hashira are, even in their sleep, they're still, you know, able to defend themselves. So he's choking her, and it's impacting her in the dream as well, and she's not able to destroy the spirit core because she's choking in there as well. And now she's dropped her weapon, so we see that kind of going on. And then from there we see Nezuko wake up or get out of her box that she's on in the train, because I guess, you know, it's nighttime and she senses that, you know, she can come out at this point. So she gets out of her box and she looks around and sees everybody sleeping. She sees Rengoku like choking a little girl, and obviously she can tell something's wrong. And she sees Tanjiro, and he's, you know, laying down sleeping and kind of really struggling and has like night sweats and, you know, doesn't look good. So she goes to try to wake him up, and she goes to headbutt him, which, as we all know, as they've, you know, shown multiple times in the past, that Tanjiro has a really strong head. And she goes to headbutt him, and then she just looks at the camera and like blood like squirts out of her forehead, which was just really funny little bit of comedy to kind of show that, because it really hurt her to headbutt him because his head is just so unnaturally hard. So she gets mad, and then she does it again, but this time with some demon energy kind of imbued in it. And that's when we kind of cut to Tanjiro. I mean, he's, you know, still in this dream state of like being reunited with his family and all this really sentimental, beautiful moments. And he starts to kind of slowly realize that things aren't right, because he's still remembering little nuggets of information from the outside world of when he's not sleeping. So he's like, you know, when he's carrying like a backpack filled with wood, he's like talking as if Nezuko is on his back, and he's like, wait, why did I say that? And then when he's walking, he sees like Nezuko's box sitting, you know, in the woods, and then he looks and it's not there. So, you know, he's like starting to see little things that, you know, may indicate that things aren't right. And then when we see him get to the river, and he's going to get water, that he sees in his reflection himself was telling him to wake up, that you're in danger, that, you know, Nezuko's bleeding and, you know, you're under attack, you need to wake up. And he kind of falls into the water, and they kind of have that exchange. And that's when he really starts realizing something's up. And then when he gets back home, all of a sudden, like, he's like engulfed in these flames that he can tell was Nezuko's demon energy in her blood, and he knows now for 100% sure that something's going on outside and he's in a dream, and now he has to figure out how he's going to wake up from it. So we see him kind of like run out of the house, and he goes, you know, to get away because he has to figure out how to wake himself up. And then all of a sudden his father just kind of like appears very weirdly in the snow, and he tells him that you must take out your sword, there's something you must cut, before he disappears, which was very interesting because his father in that dream was the only character other than Tanjiro that's aware that it was a dream, which was very interesting because it makes you wonder, like, was that actually part of the dream, or maybe is his father like alive and watching him and somehow sending him a message to protect him? So that really makes you think. Obviously there's some huge reveal coming at some point with his father, and it's just more and more interesting as we kind of get these little moments, but I did really appreciate that part. And then Tanjiro surmises from that information that he has to kill himself in his dream in order to be able to wake up and come back, you know, to being on the train, but he's not 100% sure if that will actually work, because he's like, what if what I do here impacts my body there, so I could kill myself here and I might kill myself in real life too. So he's kind of like not sure what to do, and then he realizes like in his gut that, you know, he's got to do this in order to wake up. So he's like, I gotta cut my throat. So he puts his sword up to his throat, and he like just, you know, jacks himself up on adrenaline and just starts screaming, and, you know, he cuts his throat, and we see the blood splatter on the snow, and that's when we cut to the credits and the episode ends So really crazy stuff. Overall, really good episode. Everything as usual, just amazing. Art and animation, 10 out of 10. Musical scoring, 10 out of 10. I mean, it was just truly something special. Especially shout outs to like how they animate the elements is absolutely incredible. The snowfall, the fire in Rengoku's dream, the water in the river was just unbelievable. Like I can't get enough of Studio Ufotable. Just truly unbelievable. I'm so happy that they're animating this series because it just takes it to the next level, and I just absolutely love it. So let me know down in the comment section below, what did you think of this episode? Do you agree that you think there's something more going on with his father for those who are anime only? And do you think that he's going to wake up or he's going to die in real life? I think we probably know the answer to that, but all in all, really good episode. Looking forward to seeing the rest of this arc. If you enjoyed the video, please smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll catch you all in the next one.